let's see here. Who shall I pick on? Let's try you. Let's try you. I just want to know from a few people, what type of business are you in? Oh, you are. And what type of business are you in? And what type of business are you in? What type of business are you in? Well, that's closer. Hey, Rory, here, you get it back. I was going to give it away, but nobody's got the right answer. It's a good thing there you go. Yeah, it's a good thing I showed up. Because you folks need help. I would have thought by now, you know. Have you? You're sure?
Yes.
This is not your fault.
I'm not taking any money anymore.
Yeah, you're not. If you're in the restaurant business, you're one step away from a job. I mean, good grief. When I was getting dressed upstairs, they had on A&E biography. In case you haven't noticed, by the way, Canadian television is a little sparse. You know, you basically have a choice between the gardening show, poodles, people speaking in French, and Columbo reruns. But on A&E, they had the biography of Dave Thomas while I was getting dressed. And God, now that you didn't know the answer to the first question, I suppose I should check. Do you guys know who I'm talking about? Okay. Anyway, they had this bio with Dave Thomas, and I was on 4 or 5 programs with Dave, and his vice president, a guy by the name of Calhoun, who'd been with him since the beginning, said that right up until the end, anytime you had a conversation with Dave, you never got past the first 5 minutes without him quizzing you about what you were doing to stimulate sales. And see, he knew what business he was in. And I mean, really knew what business he was in. And you can tell, by the way, anytime you go to a convention or a conference like this, now here, this shouldn't be happening, but obviously now, my bet would be that it is. And at your conventions, here's a convention tip. How many of you go to your industry conventions, your association meetings, and that sort of thing? Okay. Here's how to tell who you should spend time with there and who you should avoid. If you want to know who's making money and who isn't, here's the conversation difference. The people who are standing around on the breaks and in the cocktail lounges talking about the mechanical, technical aspects of their business, in your case, food, aren't the ones who are making any money. And if you hear one of those conversations about how to make a better turkey, or how to make lasagna, or how to make whatever the devil it is you make, run. They're the poor people. The rich ones are talking about the marketing business, not the restaurant business. Now, this happens in every industry, by the way. It happens in my business, the speaking business. If you go to the speakers convention, and we have one, right, which, as you can imagine, everybody's talking, nobody's listening, but if you go to the speakers convention and you go around the cocktail lounges and you go around on the breaks, what 95% of them are all talking about is the artistry of the platform. How to tell a better joke, whether or not you should have your hands in your pockets, how to be more dramatic, how to be more dynamic. And from those people, you run, because they ain't making no money. There's about 5% of them you'll hear talking about how to get a gig, how to get a media player to book you, how to get more people in the room, how to be in the seminar business, how to sell more tapes. Those are the ones you want to hang around with. I spoke 3 years ago for the second time in a row for the National Guild of Hypnotists convention. Here technique to each other, and they're all broke. There's like 5% of them off at a corner somewhere talking about marketing. And the quantum leap, the huge paradigm shift that makes all the difference in the world for chiropractors. I work with them. You go to a chiropractic convention. What are they all doing? They're adjusting each other. I bring them to a marketing seminar like this. Okay? I don't know what you guys paid to be in the room, but the chiropractors at my last marketing seminar paid $4,000 a piece to be there. So we got a room full of docs who've all paid $4,000 to be in the room for one purpose and one purpose only, to talk about marketing, because it's all I talk about. Okay? What are they all doing on the breaks? Whacking and cracking each other. They got them up against the wall. They got them on the floor. They got chairs stretched out. They got them hanging. They're giving each other adjustments. There's like 100 of them there. There's 5 of them off in the corner talking marketing. Guess who of the 100 that are there are doing well? The 5 who are talking about marketing. This is the big leap. If you got nothing else when you left here, but really got it, so that you wouldn't have answered the question wrong. So that the first thing that always comes into your mind is, I'm in the marketing business. If you actually got that, I guarantee you multiply your income. Because everybody's focused on the mechanical aspects. And part of that, the reason it happens in every business is because people get in business for the wrong reason in the first place. You know, they get into a business because they like the mechanical stuff. You know, Harry and Mary open a pet store because they like fooling around with fuzzy, pleasant things. And, well, you know, I mean, how many of you, my friends who are in the restaurant business got in the restaurant business because they like hanging around the bar, telling jokes to the customers, meeting and greeting people, figuring out new dishes. My daughter came to me some years ago and said that we go to the Sorbonne, Paris. This is get the checkbook out. This would be her 3rd degree. They go to the Sorbonne. Well, why do you want to do that? Because I want to open, I think I want to have a restaurant. I said, well, you realize one has absolutely nothing to do with the other. What you want to do makes you an employee. And maybe a good one. But it don't make you a restaurant owner. They're irrelevant. You want to go figure out how to be a marketer. That's the business you're talking about being in. What you're going to market is secondary. We have a big sign in my conference room on the wall. One of my members gave it to me. And in quotes it says, but my business is different. Okay? Because that's what everybody says. See, I'm a generalist. So far you've heard from, well, Paul's a generalist, but Bill and Rory, you know, they all specialize in your industry. And I'm a generalist. I've worked as a consultant and kept count. Now I'm up to 200